Howdy folks, and welcome to another double action replay in World of Tanks. This is Blaze Tankerman and Eraser 1 in the Object 140 and Object 430 Soviet Tier 10 medium tanks. What's the difference between the Object 430 and the Object 140? Not an awful lot, if we're going to be completely honest. There's not much difference between most of the top tier Soviet medium tanks. But the differences, although minor in the hands of a Unicum player, do count. Starting off with Blaze Tankerman here in the Object 430, and the Object 430 is generally regarded as the weakest of the Soviet Tier 10 medium tanks. Its one outstanding feature is its damage per minute. It does have the highest damage per minute of any Tier 10 medium, but in every other respect it's inferior to either the T-62A or the Object 140. By comparison, the Object 140, driven here by Eraser 1, has amazing accuracy even while moving. It has the best gun depression of any of the Tier 10 Soviet medium tanks, although it's still not particularly good. It has fantastic terrain handling and holds its speed even when pulling hard maneuvers over rough ground. We're going to switch back to Blaze Tankerman in the technically inferior Object 430 because he gets most of the early action at the start of this battle on Muravanka. So far, no enemy tanks spotted. It's not encounter, it's a straightforward random battle. And there, enemy tanks. The two friendly Walker Bulldogs have spotted what looks like the bulk of the enemy medium tank force, along with a couple of light tanks and an IS-3 trailing in the background there. But they've made it into the series of dips and rises in the middle of the forest long before Blaze Tankerman's team could get there. And was that M41 Bulldog on fire? It looked like he was on fire. Oh well, he's dead. Well, with the enemy team having beaten them to the cover in the centre of the forest there, and not wishing across the open ground and get shot up on the way to them, they decide to fall back and fight them from here. Now, it does not look like there's an awful lot of cover available here. Certainly the enemy team have got far more cover in the dips and grounds there in the centre of the forest, but there's enough cover here to make a Soviet Tier 10 medium tank work. The trick is never exposing more than your turret. And in the Object 430, it's never exposing more than your turret, but keeping the tank moving wherever possible, because the turret roof of the Object 430 is especially weak, and the hatches on the top of the turret are pretty obvious targets. So Blaze Tankerman is going to keep this tank moving backwards, forwards, snapping off shots, and never sitting around aiming long enough to give the enemy team a chance to aim at his weak spots. And that's when the backchat platoon on the enemy team decides to YOLO. Before we get into that, however, we're just going to dial it back a couple of seconds and switch back to Eraser 1 in the Object 140 and just look at the chances he's taking snapping shots past friendlies. And yet, most of the time, still landing shots on enemy tanks. Most of the time. It does bite him in the arse at one point, but here comes that Batchat. Actually, there's two Batchats. They're obviously focusing their fire on the first one. The two Batchats are going for the Panzer 58 Mutz. The second Batchat has decided actually this is not such a good idea after all. He's trying to get out. Is he going to make it? Actually, yes, I think he might, but he's not the only one still coming. Object 430. They're all focusing their fire on him. He's been set on fire, but he's managed to put the fire out. T-49. You can see what's happening here is the enemy team thought, come on, the Batchats are going for it. Let's go. And then one of the Batchats died. The Object 430 lost almost all of his health. The T-49 is dead. Now they're all thinking maybe this wasn't such a good idea after all. And the problem for the enemy team here is that they're now all in the open. They're not in concealment in those dips and ridges in the middle of the forest anymore. Meanwhile, Blaze Tankerman and Eraser 1 are able to stay hull down. And they take the occasional hit on their turret roof, or possibly their commander's hatches, but they're able to avoid almost all of the return fire. Not the friendly fire though. What was that? Blaze Tankerman just took a shot from behind. Yeah, it's Eraser 1. He keeps snapping those shots right past the turrets of friendly tanks, and that one went right into the back of Blaze Tankerman's turret. But they don't have time to stop and argue about it because there are enemy tanks in the open, and they need to kill them. But despite the monstrous amount of damage these two have inflicted on the enemy team, and continue to inflict on the enemy team, they're still heavily outnumbered in this corner of the map. They're starting to take flanking fire. And the enemy team, although mostly on low health, are starting to realise that they seriously outnumber the three surviving tanks down this end of the map, and so they make another push, led by the T-49. Blaze Tankerman takes him out. Eraser 1 spots another T-49 on the flank. That guy puts a shot into the side of the IS-3's turret. Here comes the Batchat. The IS-3 takes him out. The T-49 decides, screw this, I'm getting out of here. Eraser 1 snaps a shot into him, and then the T-49 gets himself Death Starred. And that just leaves the IS-3 and the T-34, who appear to have suddenly run out of medium tank support, although there is still a T-44-100 and a pair of TVPs out there somewhere. Still, it's time to feast on the tears of the heavy tank drivers. Meanwhile, the rest of the team are capping. The heavies on the team, minus the IS-3 who was on the flank over here with them, have managed to win their side of the map as well, and we have an AMX-5120 in the enemy cap circle. Now the problem for that AMX-5120 is that there is not a massive amount of concealment in that cap circle to the north, and there's all kinds of terrain with clear fields of fire into that cap circle that any of those surviving enemy medium tanks can use to hit him and reset the cap. Now he hasn't been hit yet, but pretty much the only reason that AMX-5120 sitting there in the cap circle has survived long enough to accumulate as many capture points as he has is that the enemy mediums, the Object 430 and the TVP, who are up there in the top northeastern corner of the map, first had to stop and deal with a 110 Chinese Tier 8 medium tank who was with the AMX-5120 but pushed on into the woods. He's been taken out, and that means the Object 430 and the TVP now have nothing else to shoot at. There they are, they've just popped up on the map, and the AMX-5120 is history. Back to Eraser 1 in the Object 140. Initially, he was the one with all the kills. He's just nailed the T-34. There's the bat chat. Got him. He's now on 3 kills. He's leading 3 kills to 2 to Blaze Tanker Man there in the Object 430. There's a very, very badly damaged IS-3 over there somewhere, furiously backing up as fast as he possibly can. And ironically, now that there aren't friendly tanks in front of him, Eraser 1 stops and takes the time to aim at the IS-3, and Blaze Tanker Man takes the kill. They're now 3 kills each. Brothers in arms. And it is actually quite ironic that Eraser 1, because he's now actually hit friendly tanks twice, although he's only damaged friendly tanks once, and that was Blaze Tanker Man, by snapping the shots off at enemy tanks on the far side of friendly tanks. And from here on in, he's going to take the time to actually stop and aim at his targets, and that's going to start to cost him a couple of kills. There's the enemy lurver. No. Turns around to shoot the artillery. Too slow. Blaze Tanker Man is now up. 1 kill. And unbelievably, that one just bounced off the side of the lurver. No idea where that one hit, but he takes the time. The second one goes in. The lurver's taken fire from all directions. He has nowhere to go. The next shot goes in, but once again, it's Blaze Tanker Man, hot on the heels after getting the kill number 4 for him on the enemy artillery. He realises the lurver is taking fire, and he's going to get 1 shot, but he knows exactly how far he needs to get over this ridge in order to utilise the poor gun depression of the Object 430. And gets the killing blow on the lurver as well for kill number 5. 2 enemy tanks left, both tier 10 mediums, an Object 430 and a TVP. Now there's no way these guys are going to get a crucial contribution at this stage. There just aren't enough enemy tanks left alive. Providing they can both stay alive, however, they're guaranteed a brothers in arms, and there's a chance that Blaze Tanker Man here can get himself a top gun. The Object 430 and the TVP have both been spotted. The TVP's taken fire. The Object 430 is a 1-shot kill, but he doesn't have a clear line of sight to him. The TVP has taken a ferocious beating, but he's trying to make a break for the far western side of the map in order to run south and try to survive the outcome of this match. The Object 430, on the other hand, has left it too late and he's got nowhere to go, but he could have gotten some more damage done in this game if he'd stayed behind that ridge and let Blaze Tanker Man come to him, but he didn't. He crested the ridge, and his poor gun depression meant he was never going to get the first shot, and when you have as little health as he had remaining, that's a death sentence. All that's left is the TVP. Eraser 1 on 3 kills. Blaze Tanker Man on 6 kills. He's got a top gun. Can they get more damage done and potentially kill that TVP before these guys cap out? Death Star, Scorpion G, and a Mouse all moving into the cap circle. 3 tanks capping. That does not leave a lot of time to catch and kill this TVP, and he's had a hell of a head start on them. And let's not forget, the TVP is not a slow tank. It's actually a faster tank than the Object 430 by 5 km per hour. It seems hard to believe looking at the speed that Blaze Tanker Man is doing over the top of the hills here on Muravanka, but he only has a top speed of 55 km per hour. TVP has a top speed of 60, so if he keeps running, they're never going to catch him. And then with 2 seconds left to go before the team wins by capping, the Scorpion G decides to buy them some more time, gives up his capture points and moves out of the cap circle, but he's only bought them about 20 seconds because the rest of the tanks on the team, They're not leaving that cap circle for anybody. And they found the TV, but he's not going down without a fight. Blaze Tanker Man lands a shot, takes 2 penetrating hits in return, starts waggling the tank left to right, angling the armor, snaps off a final shot, sadly doesn't hit him, and game over. So just how well are people doing, if they're any good, in these Soviet Tier 10 medium tanks? First, the Object 140, a Razor 1. Now, he got 3 kills, a brothers in arms, a Confederate, and did 5,320 damage in this tank. And that was only good enough in the Object 140 for a second-class mastery badge. So how about Blaze Tanker Man in the Object 430, which most Soviet Tier 10 medium tankers will agree is the inferior of the 3 non-premium Soviet Tier 10 medium tanks. How did he do in the Object 430? Well, he did get the high caliber with 6,200 damage done, but that's not that much more than a Razor 1 managed in the Object 140. It's only really 3 more damaging hits. He did get the Top Gun to go with the brothers in arms and the high caliber, but that performance in the Object 430 is good enough for an ace tanker. Now, we can argue the relative strengths and weaknesses of the 2 tanks all day, but I think the one thing that we can all agree on is that both a Razor 1 and Blaze Tanker play exceptionally well together in a platoon in their Tier 10 mediums, regardless of who's at the controls of which tank. Thank you for sending those replays in, guys. Very, very entertaining to watch, and I hope you guys at home enjoyed it too. That's all for today, folks. Take care, and I'll catch you next time.